Okay, can you hear me well? All great. So welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you had an amazing day, full of learning, socializing, networking, and hope you have enjoyed the food and the drinks as well. So I know it's the end of the day. You might have a little bit of low energy now. So we will do a very quick activity with you. So I will ask you to close your eyes for a few seconds. Close your eyes. I can see you. I'm on stage, okay? Now imagine you are in the Bahamas, enjoying the beach, your favorite music in the background, your best selection of food and drinks out there, and you are enjoying the sound of the waves. It is sunny, not like cloudy London. No offense. Okay, pina colada for me, please, and a pineapple pizza. Enjoy the moments. Few minutes later, your phone rang. It's one of your team members calling with an exciting voice, telling you, "Master, we have come up with an amazing generative AI idea to improve our chatbot that will dramatically enhance our user experience." And asks you a very important question. What is the best model that we can use that can scale in an efficient way? Now, open your eyes, because this is the topic of our session for today. Scaling generative AI workloads with efficient model choice. I'm Ayman El-Sayed, Solutions Architect, AI and Machine Learning at Amazon Web Services, and I'm glad to be sharing the stage with my amazing colleague, Kate. In the next 30-40 minutes, we are going to cover 4 key main points. First, we are going to speak about the main customer challenge we see customers facing when they are building and scaling their generative AI workloads. Then, we are going to cover 3 main Amazon Bedrock features that were announced last year during re:Invent in December that are designed specifically to tackle this customer challenge. We will start with intelligent prompt routing, which enable you to dynamically route your requests to multiple models, depends on the prompt context. Then we are going to speak about model distillation, how you can transfer knowledge from a parent, most intelligent model to a smaller model that can give you lower latency and lower cost. Then we are going to speak about Amazon Bedrock Marketplace and how you can leverage multiple large language model for different use cases that you have in your business. 2 years back, we have seen large language model and foundation models taking the world by storm. And we have seen you as customers starting to explore, build, learn, and build your POCs. And then later on, you started to take those POCs from POC stage to production. But we usually have one key question from our customers. What is the best model to use for our use cases? We have seen customers looking for the biggest and largest models. Give me the highest intelligent model that you have. And by time, customers realize that not necessarily all the time they need the biggest and the largest models, even for the same use case. This is where the discussion came to a point where the customers start to ask one key question: how to find the best foundation model for my use case? More specifically, how to find the best foundation model for each request in the same use case. And we have seen customers using and adopting multiple models approach, multi-model approach, meaning using multiple models for the same use case. And then the point came to how we can reach that balance of this triangle trio. How we can have the highest intelligent model for our use case or for our request at a lower latency and a lower cost, reaching that optimization level. And for that, we have seen customers building their own model routing modules. But what does that mean for you as a customer? Mean you are going to dedicate a team and time and cost to develop more of a system or a utility method or workload rather than focusing on your core business. And we at AWS, we believe in innovating on behalf of our customers. Last December in re:Invent, Amazon Bedrock launched intelligent prompt routing, which is now generally available since last week. Intelligent prompt routing enables you to dynamically route requests based on the prompt context. Let's see how intelligent prompt routing works in action. First, you have your prompts, and then you decide on a choice of models. Currently, there are 3 model families being supported: Amazon Nova models, Anthropic Claude models, and Meta Llama models. Bear in mind that intelligent prompt routing currently work on models across the same model family. Means if you are selecting Anthropic Claude models, you can route dynamically across Haiku, Sonnet models. Similarly for Llama and Nova models. Then you have a routing criteria. What does that mean? It means the acceptable quality difference between models for the intelligent prompt routing to select the best model for each prompt. We will see that in an example in the next slides. On the back end, we have a prompt encoder, which ingests and understands your prompt's context. And then we have a performance prediction and decision optimization, which is a proprietary machine learning model that enables the intelligent prompt router to decide on the best model for each prompt, utilizing on giving you the best intelligence for your prompt, but also at the least cost and least latency. So what are the benefits for using intelligent prompt routing for you as a customer? First, you have full control on the model of choice for routing your requests. Second, ease of access. You can use either Converse APIs or Invoke APIs in order to access intelligent prompt routing, in addition to using Amazon Console and the CLI. Third, you can define your routing criteria, which you have your full control on. Last but not least, align your prompt router prediction by providing ground truth data. In summary, intelligent prompt routing reduces your cost by up to 30% without compromising on quality or cost. Let's see an example of the intelligent prompt routing in action. In this example, we selected Anthropic Claude models as a model family. And we selected Claude 3 Haiku and Claude Sonnet 3.5 as a model of choice. And we set the routing criteria to 0%. So what does that mean? It means when we send that request to the model, it will evaluate the responses from Claude 3 Haiku and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. If the result from both models are the same, Claude 3 Haiku will be selected, optimizing on quality, cost, and latency. Let's see the example here. The example here, we send a request to the intelligent prompt routing to generate 7 promotional content for our Twitter campaign. And since this is a simple request, Claude 3.5, Claude 3 Haiku can serve in a great way. Intelligent prompt routing decided to choose Claude 3 Haiku instead of Claude 3.5 Sonnet in that scenario. But now let's take that scenario to the next level. Let's give the model a more complex request that requires a deeper level of reasoning and intelligence. Again, keeping the configuration the same. You are going to select Claude Anthropic models at the model of choice and set the routing criteria to 0%. In that scenario, intelligent prompt routing chose Claude 3.5 Sonnet, since it's the model that can do that level of reasoning and not Claude 3 Haiku. So one key customer use case we have seen intelligent prompt routing can really benefit is building generative AI chatbots. So imagine in the early days when you decide to choose to build a generative AI chatbot, and you select the biggest and largest model, for example, Claude 3.5 Sonnet. But oftentimes you have customers saying, good morning, bye, I need your support, which are simple requests that can be handled very efficiently with smaller models like Claude 3 Haiku. With intelligent prompt routing and the configuration, you can redirect those simple requests that doesn't necessarily need a bigger model to serve to Claude 3 Haiku, and let the intelligent requests be redirected to the bigger models like Claude 3.5 Sonnet and Claude 3.7 Sonnet as well, providing you the right level of intelligence with the least cost and least latency. Now, before we go to the model distillation, we have covered intelligent prompt routing and explained how you can use it to dynamically route requests across different models in the same model family. I will ask you one question. Raise your hands if you are at any point of time have used a distilled model either on SageMaker or on Amazon Bedrock. So have few hands here of people who have used model distillation. Model distillation is the ability to transfer knowledge from a bigger intelligent model to a smaller model that gives you an on-bar performance of the bigger model without compromising on latency or cost. Let's see how that works in action. First, you have your bigger model, the teacher model as we call it. And we have prompts and responses generated from the parent model. And we use both prompts and responses in order to fine-tune a smaller model, which we call a student model, generating a distant model that can derive and generate a similar response quality to the teacher model, but at a lower cost and lower latency. We have seen customers using model distillation, using SageMaker, and deploying their models on inference endpoints on SageMaker, or doing model distillation on SageMaker and doing custom model import on Amazon Bedrock and doing the inferencing using Amazon Bedrock. But now we are bringing model distillation natively to Amazon Bedrock. There are two options where you can use model distillation. You can use production data with invocation logs, or you can use Amazon Bedrock proprietary data instances. Let's explore both in more detail. Let's assume currently you have a bigger model in production. You enable the invocation logs. You have the prompts and the responses. And you add a level of request metadata in order to be able to identify the logs. If you can see in the screenshot, we added a project name and code name. In the next step, we use the invocation logs and the request metadata filter in order to fine-tune the smaller model and generate a distilled model that can then be used for inferencing. On the right-hand side, you can see a screenshot from the Amazon Bedrock console showing how you can select between the two options and how you can input the request metadata filter. Now this is the second option, data synthesis. So what is the difference between invocation logs and data synthesis? Now let's assume that you have your bigger model in production and you have just few number of generated prompts and responses. That means that you might need multiple iterations on your distilled model until you reach the required goal of intelligence. With data synthesis, this can be reduced. Where you can have the responses generated from your teacher model, in addition to the data synthesis will generate more quality prompts for you and generate responses as well, and select golden responses in order to fine-tune your model, reducing time in order to achieve the highest quality for your distant model. This is a screenshot from the Amazon Bedrock console showing how you can use the model distillation. So you define the job for the model distillation, and you can also select the teacher or the parent model and the student model. Currently, there are 3 model families supported for model distillation. First one is Amazon Nova, and Meta Llama model, and Anthropic Claude models as well. And we are expecting more models to be supported in the future. Then you can configure the model distillation for security and privacy for your VPC and access. And also you can set the configuration for the output metric for your distant model. Now, we have covered 2 Amazon Bedrock features. First one is intelligent prompt routing, and we have explained how you can dynamically route requests to models in the same model family. And the second one is Amazon Bedrock model distillation, showing how you can distill and fine-tune a smaller model for inferencing. Now we are going to explain Amazon Bedrock Marketplace with Kate. Kate, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Ayman. As Ayman said, we'll now share how you can further scale your generative AI workloads with additional model choice. To illustrate this need or benefit of additional model choice, we'll reflect on some use cases that we're seeing our customers bring to production in 2025. And the key here is that we're seeing that they're increasingly nuanced use cases. So we're seeing customers bring Japanese and English language translation to documents, but not just any documents, documents that are specific to the manufacturing industry, for example, which may involve understanding highly technical terms within those documents or potentially industry-specific language. We're seeing financial research analysts summarize financial and regulatory filings, which involves understanding the concepts within those documents. And finally, we're seeing our customers create digital companions. And when you're creating a digital companion, it's really important to capture the way that people naturally communicate or the way that people naturally express themselves. And particularly, say, for example, you have a very global customer base and they're speaking several different languages. It's important to capture that as well. So when you're building these digital companions, you may want to think about local idioms across different languages. You may want to think about local language or slang. And we'll give you an example of a local idiom. So say in English, we say the term, let's not boil the ocean. Maybe we hear this fairly often in our work lives. In English, that phrase has meaning. But if you were to directly translate that to another language, it would likely be nonsensical. And many different languages have equivalent expressions or their own idioms. And when we reflect on all of these nuanced use cases, what we're seeing is this need for additional model choice, and not just choice among general purpose models, but also choice among specialized models. And as generative AI changes the way that we work and continues to do this, we're seeing an increased need for specialized models. And these specialized models can bring the benefit of, for example, industry-specific knowledge, domain-specific knowledge. Maybe it's language-specific capabilities, or maybe they're even optimized for specific tasks, for example, generating protein sequences. And aside from that, these models can also come with varying levels of efficiency. So for example, we're thinking about efficiency in 2 different factors. So that's going to be money and time. So what's the cost of using this model? And then also time, so the time it takes to run the model. What does inference latency look like? So for example, when you're thinking about efficiency, maybe it's using a small language model because your use case doesn't require complex reasoning. Maybe it's using a distilled model, or maybe it's using a fine-tuned model. And before, if you were to go out and try to implement and leverage these specialized models, it may have required in the past trying to discover them across many different services or providers. and maybe even building abstractions into your applications so that you can actually leverage these models. Our customers asked us for a single place to discover and deploy multiple models. And with this in mind, last December, we announced Amazon Bedrock Marketplace, which is that single place to discover and deploy models, both general purpose and specialized. And Bedrock Marketplace increases the model choice in Amazon Bedrock with over 100 general purpose, specialized, emerging, and popular models through a server full offering. But the key here is that they're all in one place to go ahead and discover and deploy. And there are models from over 30 providers, so we'll highlight a few today. There are models from enterprise providers, such as IBM, including their Granite 3 family. We have the Exa 1 3.0 model from LG AI Research. And we have open models from Hugging Face, and in fact, there are over 90 Hugging Face models in Amazon Bedrock Marketplace today. For example, Zephyr and OpenHermes 2. And if you're interested in use cases like language translation, we have models from Upstage, Preferred Networks, and Winden AI. Say you're experimenting in different modalities, like image, we have Stability AI's Stable Diffusion Large 3.5 model. Or maybe you're experimenting in the audio space. We have the Mars 6 model from Cam AI, which can be used for dubbing. And maybe you're interested in biology, for example. We have the ESM3 model from Evolutionary Scale, which can be used for protein research to generate protein sequences. And this is just kind of a snapshot of all the different models that are in Bedrock Marketplace today, but we encourage each of you to have a look through the model catalog yourself and see if any of these models may be of interest. And aside from purely just access to these models, they come with all of the benefits of Amazon Bedrock. So they can be used with Bedrock APIs like the Invoke API and the Converse API. And for those models that are compatible with the Converse API, they can be used with Amazon Bedrock features like Amazon Bedrock Knowledge Bases, Amazon Bedrock Agents, and Amazon Bedrock Guardrails. And from an infrastructure perspective, there is a difference here. Bedrock is often known for its serverless models, but in this case, this is a server full offering. So what that means is you would go ahead and select an instance type and a number of instances, and then it would then be deployed behind a SageMaker endpoint in your account or the customer account. From there, you can leverage SageMaker auto-scaling policies. And if you're interested in fine-tuning, if the model meets the architectures of Flan, Mistral, Llama 2, Llama 3, 3.1, or 3.2, you can fine-tune the models and then bring those into Bedrock via the custom model import feature. So what are the benefits? It's a single place to discover and deploy multiple models. You can use the Bedrock APIs, and you can also leverage Bedrock's features like knowledge bases if you're doing RAG, for example, or Amazon Bedrock Agents or Guardrails with these models. And then also you can configure scalability. And we'll take a look at what this actually looks like in the Bedrock console. So as you can see, we're in the model catalog, where you can go and discover all of Bedrock's models, so the serverless models and the Bedrock Marketplace models. And on the left, you can go ahead and toggle and filter by modality or provider, for example. So this is where we'd encourage you to go and have an explore and see what's there for your use cases. And maybe your use cases involve several of these models and not just one. So we'll click into a model, and we've clicked into an IBM Granite model, for example. And here you can see all of the information about the model, so information about the provider. And then if you were to scroll down on this page, you'd see highlights that the provider sets. So for example, use cases that perhaps the model is optimized for, and then also example inputs and outputs with data types. You can open up the subscription options, and here you can see pricing details. So in this case, there's no software price from the provider. It's purely the underlying infrastructure that you'd be charged for. And there's also a legal window that you could pop open for the end user licensing agreement or EULA terms, which you could go ahead and review and accept or not. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and accept them so that we can move on to deployment. When you're deploying the model, you'd select the instance type and the number of instances. And there's also additionally configurable details as well. So for example, you can designate the VPC that you want to deploy the model into. And then you can start using it within a few minutes in Bedrock. So you can use it via the APIs, or what we're showing here is the Bedrock Playground, where you can go ahead and chat and play around with the models. And you can see that it has the serverless models, as well as a variety of Bedrock Marketplace models that we've deployed. So if we were to select a model, we could go and then chat with it. So here we're asking it to write a poem. To further illustrate the benefits of Bedrock Marketplace, let's dive deeper into some customer use cases where we are seeing our customers leverage Bedrock Marketplace. We'll start with Zendesk. Zendesk is an AI-first company with a customer base of over 100,000 brands globally. And Zendesk is helping their customers help their customers in the local language. Therefore, it's very important for Zendesk to have multilingual capabilities. And Zendesk AI selects the best model for their particular use case. And in this use case, they've selected Wyndham AI's high-performance models, which can translate over 22 different languages via Amazon Bedrock. And the use cases that they're exploring include language translation, as well as an internal one to redact PII. And they're doing this through the Bedrock APIs. Another example is with a leading Korean newspaper who's looking to modernize proofreading efforts via Upstage's Solar models. In the journalism industry, generating articles quickly and accurately is absolutely essential. And today, the proofreading efforts are highly manual, so they rely on professional proofreaders. And these proofreaders are expensive, and they can also make mistakes, right? So perhaps it's a small mistake, maybe it's punctuation or grammar or a capitalization or a spacing issue, or perhaps the mistake may be more nuanced than that. So for example, maybe contextually inaccurate words or phrases are chosen. And when you think about this in the context of a news source, it can alter the way people perceive a certain event or an idea. And let's illustrate this with an example. So let's take the words surged and increased. They sound relatively similar in meaning, but if we pair them with the term unemployment, and we say unemployment surged, it conveys this idea of uncontrolled growth. Whereas if we say unemployment increased, you can still sense that it's increasing, but there's less of this emotional intensity attached to the phrase. Using Upstage's Solar Pro model, this particular customer was able to see a 57.9% increase in proofreading accuracy. And on top of this, they were able to see an error rate of detection and correction of 95%. To sum up these two use cases, we're seeing our customers leverage Bedrock Marketplace models on Bedrock for use cases such as language translation, language processing across multiple languages, as well as proofreading. Today, we've covered 3 recent, as of last December, Bedrock launches. We started with intelligent prompt routing, where you can route inference requests across a family of models so that you can optimize on cost and performance without compromising on output quality. We've also discussed model distillation. And distilled models in Amazon Bedrock are up to 500% faster, while being 75% less expensive with a less than 2% accuracy loss for use cases like RAG. We've also discussed Bedrock Marketplace, where you can leverage additional model choice to further scale your generative AI workloads. We also recommend that you check out Skill Builder to upskill yourself or your teams. There's a variety of content, including self-paced labs, as well as instructor-led content. And you can also learn about generative AI via Skill Builder. Thank you for joining us today. This has been Scaling Your Generative AI Workloads with Efficient Model Choice at London Summit. And thanks for joining us at London Summit. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.